Today we're going to look at quartiles, box plots, and a 5-number summary. So what we have here are 9 digits, okay, 9 numbers, and these 9 numbers represent scores from the NFL from the first week of the season. And we have a low score of 12 to a high score of 35. And again, the first thing we want to do with a quartile is we want to put the data in order, okay? So once we have the data in order, what we are going to look for is where's the middle piece, where is our median. Okay, and again, our median, we can call that quartile 2 or the 50th percentile. Okay, now if you look on the left-hand side, okay, there are 4 values over here, so the middle would be between the second and third value, and the average of 14 and 17, 15.5, is what we call Q1. If we do the same thing on the right-hand side of the median, there are 4 values there, and the middle would be between the 7th and 8th value, so the middle of 28 and 29, okay, 28.5 is going to be quartile 3. Okay, and the minimum value we said was 12. That was the lowest score of the week. The maximum value is 35. So when we're asked for a 5-number summary, again, the 5-number summary is the minimum score, the maximum score, quartile 1, quartile 2 or the median, and quartile 3. Now when we go to make a box plot is just a drawing that shows you your document. So with our box plot, we are going to have a number line. Okay, and when I make my number line, I just want to make sure my number line is going to fit all of my numbers that I have in my data. So I started off at 5 and I went up by units of 5. Do you have to go up by units of 5 every time? No. Okay, depending on how spread out your data is, you may have to go units of 10, units of 20, depending how spread out. So to make my box, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the middle 50% of my data. Okay, Q1 we said was 15.5, so that's right about here over 15. Q3 was 28.5, which would fall there. So the box plot, the reason why it's called a box plot is because you're making a box, and that box represents the middle 50% of your data from Q1 to Q3. And if you remember when we talked about that interquartile range in a previous video, the interquartile range is the difference of those 2 values. What is 28.5 minus 15.5? It's a range of 3. So your IQR has a spread of 3. Okay. Where's the median in our box? Well, the median was 21. So 21 falls right about here, so it's not perfectly symmetric, okay? But there is a little bit of skew, okay, to one side, okay? But the median just tells us if our data is skewed or if it is in the center. And then the last thing we do is we identify 12 and we identify 35, okay, our max and our min point. And we connect those to the box. So the way you want to think about this is when we did mean and standard deviation, we drew a histogram, okay? And when we look at median and IQR, we're doing a box plot, okay? Again, they're both showing you where the center is and they're showing you what the spread is, okay? It's just a different way of looking at statistics. Some statisticians like this method, some like the traditional way of mean and standard deviation. But again, it tells you where most of your data is going to fall. The middle 50% of your data, okay, most scores to the NFL that week were between 15.5 and 28.5. Was there a pretty good spread? Yeah, as there usually is. Okay. Okay. Now the next thing we could test is there an outlier in our data set? Okay. Let's say that you have a team in the NFL like the Kansas City Chiefs who score a lot of points, and maybe one of their scores is not normal to the other scores. We want to see if that score is an outlier, if we can eliminate that score, if it's going to skew our data. So the steps to find an outlier, okay, step number one, okay, we find the IQR, okay, which in this case we already did. We took Q3 minus Q1, we got 13. We're going to multiply the IQR by 1.5. Okay, so if we multiply the IQR by 1.5, 13 times 1.5 is going to be 19.5. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your two values. You're going to take Q3, okay, which is 28.5, and you're going to add that 19.5 to it. You're going to take Q1, which was 15.5, and subtract 19.5 from it. So when you do that, what you're going to end up with is a range of -4 to 48. And sorry for my finger there.